Yeah, well, we can speak to someone now that was at the game, involved in the game, the scrum coach for Quins and Wales legend Adam Jones joins us now. How are you, mate?
I'm very good. How are you?
Very good, mate. Set the scene, mate, because it sounds like are you on holiday? You're sunbathing in Dubai after that win at the weekend. Where are you now?
I'm just about to get on the M4, eastbound, just come in from Merthyr Tydfil in Wales. Just on the way to the Clifton Rugby Club to watch the Quins Bristol Shield game.
Oh, mate, you are at the coalface, aren't you? You are literally grafting your way to the top.
So you've gone home...
You are?
Sorry, carry on, mate.
No, I just said you're grafting your way to the very top, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, mate, I'm starting a bacon sandwich, pack of crisps, Pepsi Max. Way to go.
Other drinks are available. I prefer Coke Zero Cherry, but there we go. Mate, so game on Saturday, obviously a brilliant finish. You're saying you come from Merthyr Tydfil, so I'm presuming you got straight in the car after the game and went back to the family back in Wales, or set the scene.
Yeah.
What happens in your life these days?
Well, yeah, pretty much we finished the game, waited for the game to download, had some food, got back on the M4. Yeah.
And there's
back
a lot.
Wales, about 9:30.
Mate, I love Wales. I was in Wales on Thursday, actually. I was in Port Talbot with Hooky. What's Port Talbot like? I mean, it was very smoky when I was there.
That's a word. I actually lived there for 6 years.
How was it?
It's nice enough, but it's got a beach.
It's got a beach.
Mate, it's got a beach with nappies on. That's all I know. Dirty nappies. I'm not. I really enjoyed it. Mate, let's get into it because there's a lot of talk around the weekend's game, naturally. And I know you're going to be very pleased because you absolutely, as a team, decimated the extra scrum. But there was a big talking point at the end of the game. So we may as well talk about that now straight away. As a scrum coach and as a man who knows what it's like to be in a scrum, if you were an Exeter player, would you have agreed with that? Well, you wouldn't have agreed with it. Do you think it was a penalty try, yes or no? And why?
Well, obviously, yes. For the dominance of the game, I appreciate there's the argument that it wasn't going to definitely be a try going to be scored. But, for me, at the end of it, we went square, then they lucid, went in an angle, it's just a penalty again. So, look, I'm obviously biased because it's my scrum. But, no, look, I think, I text Goody the other day, I've been involved in scrums when they're not necessarily going forward, but if you have 5-6 penalties, in and around it, well, I think we had 10 in the whole game. It's a certain there's a point it gets to where they give a penalty try, whether it's left of the law or not.
So you're 100% saying it was a penalty try. As we've disagreed over text, Jonesy, but it's cool. It's cool. You know a lot more about scrums than me, even though I reckon
I do indeed.
You do. We've got the same body shape though, so I reckon I might give it a go in my next life. Obviously, looking at Harlequins, that was somewhere where you clearly targeted because the dominance throughout the game, and you didn't even have Sync playing, so the other boys stepped up to the plate, didn't they?
Yeah, I think we looked at the sort of Harry Williams obviously pulled out pretty late on the day before, and then Ben Moon wasn't involved as well. So, it's obviously two good players there, two good international class scrummagers. So obviously it was something to look at. Look, we worked pretty hard. We got a few hookers back in, Baldwin's back in, Joe Cray's back in, which added to the scrum, and we get in, boys like Glenn Young in the second rows. Not necessarily a big man, but he's put a fair bit of weight on, and he's getting, his technique down, and I know it all adds around the group of the 8, and good front row as well. Mark Lambert's 250th game, a lot of emotion in that for him, and so the boys want to do well for him as well. So as a sort of 8 or 13s of happy, we were pretty pleased around that area.
Yeah, sounds like, mate, you're getting a pay rise from Paul Gustard then for all your work at the weekend.
Mate, it's look, if you watch the big game when Leicester played us, and they shoved us all around the park for the most part. So, one thing you learn as a prop, and you never can take anything but for granted. And definitely don't get too excited. Start giving it a big one after a good scrum because you could have your head shoved up your ass next scrum. So it's I'll try to keep my feet on the ground and try to keep the boys' feet. But no, it's nice to have a bit of confidence. Nice to do it to Exeter, who, Exeter got the bigger. I think they've won the most penalties in the league. On their own ball in the scrum, and we did a pretty good job looking after that. So no, we're pleased with it, but another challenge next week against Bristol.
But I can hear your passion as well talking about the scrum, and I think naturally you're at the coalface for many years and world class in that position. I think there's there was an element of the importance of the scrum coming into question. You saw the World Cup final; it highlighted how important the scrum was, or the scrum is.
Yeah.
So someone who is in that role as a scrum coach, as part of your role, how important is the scrum? Do you think it's got longevity into the future?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think it's. I think you see the atmosphere in the last 5 minutes of the game. Look, I appreciate sometimes, there's resets and all this type of stuff, and it takes a while. But I'm a firm believer in, if you just stop the clock, then if there's resets, stop the clock till the scrum is going again. So you're not losing you're not losing any time. But no, look, I think that's what's amazing about rugby. It gives people like me, a chance to play. Jim, 6 or 8, 6 or 7. You're not going to be. I'm sure you weren't going to play soccer or foot or whatever, but it's all shapes and sizes, and once you can get that all working in one direction in the scrum, then it's it's a pretty good thing to do. And we lose the scrum, it goes to rugby league, and it's just it'd be a bit of a shambles, I think.
And you mentioned it there, how important it was to the boys after, and I'm taking the piss a little bit when I say it was like you won the cup final after. I was having a bit of banter with Hugo as well, the changing room shots, the games on TV, but how much did it mean to the club? Because it's been a couple of tough weeks. We've seen Guzzy's hair that's finally starting to knit under all the stress, and if you lost that game, it could have been awful. But look, as a club, there's a bit of pressure on you now because you've got an amazing coach in Paul Gustard, and some of the signings you made and are making. How important was that win to kind of keep you in the hunt for top 6, but ultimately top 4?
Oh, it's huge. I think we don't want to whinge about the injuries because the boys who've come in done a great job, and it's a squad at the end of the day, and you've got well, as being Saracens, this you've got these really deep squads to challenge on all fronts, and I think to be honest, I think the celebration was a big win, a lot of emotion and that. But I think it was a bit the change room shots were probably more for Lammy, I think, and obviously it is top off, so it was a big occasion as well, and it doesn't get off very often. But no, look, it was good for the boys. We've been the Irish game was poor. And then the Bath game, it was a chance to win, but we didn't quite take it on line. But look, we're trying to get better. As you said, Gezzy's a great coach. He's great to learn off. He's obviously you both know him really well, and he's mega intense. But he's a good laugh. He wants the boys and the coaches to enjoy as well. So no, it's hopefully we start picking up now and going in the right direction towards in the season.
Well, let's talk about Guzzy and his hair then, because I've had a hair transplant that's worked very well. He's had about 4 that the first few didn't take. Have you given him some of your hair to then stitch into his head, and it's worked?
I'm not going to, honest to God, I've got a massive bald spot coming right to the back. So,
well, mate, interestingly,
I'm just clinging on.
Mate, interestingly, there's some of these vitamins that you can get from Suns. I'll maybe send you some. I'm taking them, and mine's growing back.
Chuck it across, but I'm happy days. Yeah, I'll take anything at the moment. It's hiding it pretty well because it's long, but no, if you get a certain light, it's not the best. No
ponytail, mate. I think you go ponytail. That could be the difference, mate.
Oh, God. I'd love to see Bon with a ponytail.
I'm not quite done yet. Sean Edwards convinced me to braid my hair once, and I was that's probably the extent of it, really.
I did see that actually. Guzzy, any banter on his hair? Is he? Has that been rinsed a little bit? You like the way I said rinsed?
Certain players will, he's pretty self-deprecated around it, to be fair. But no, look, he's my boss. I'm not going to slag him off. I need to keep a job, so I'm not going to say that.
Mate, and you mentioned Sean Edwards there. We should probably talk a little bit about him. I know you're, again, you keep using the coalface analogy, but Sean Edwards, you work with him. There's been a lot of talk about him in recent weeks. It is a fallow week, but when you look at what France have done, how much would you put that down to the character of Sean Edwards? Someone that's worked with him. You probably worked with him quite heavily, as in being a tight 5 forward. He'll want you, and if I ever work with him, moving around the field more freely, I should say. But having worked with Sean Edwards, what kind of effect is he having on that? Well, we can see the effect, but from your personal view, watching that.
Well, we were kind of always. I was in the Welsh squad for about 5 or 6 years at the time, and it was always, do we blitz, do we drift? And it was never like it was always different voices wanting to do something. So it was never like a one direction. He came in and said, "Look, you started us down in the team room. We're blitzing. We're going to be off the line defence. Get off the line, get in the faces. If you don't want to do it, you can F off," sort of thing. So, and they kind of give you the and I was like, and this Sean Edwards speaking to you, so he's obviously got that little the fact is that he's obviously one of the most decorated rugby league players ever. He did amazing with Wasps and this type of thing. So him obviously saying it resonated very well with us. And it's pretty similar, I think. I think we were in a particularly fit side at the time when they came in, but when Gats and Sean came in, they worked us hard, training changed to sort of short and sharp stuff. And as a front five, he was good with the front five, though. He sort of Sean, he realised how hard it was for a sort of a tight end and a right hand lock to get her on the field. So as long as you just made your tackles and got a bit of line speed, he was happy enough, and not be a total bit like as long as you could defend, then as long as you didn't knew your systems and stuff, he was pretty good, because he kind of understood how hard. Well, he understood how hard it was in there.
And did you boys understand him because of his northern accent? Like, get off line and smash him. Did the Welsh boys get that or not?
Well, to be fair, that's pretty much all he said. So
that's all he says in France as well, with teabag as well.
Let's fast forward then. Let's fast forward then to this weekend and the game, obviously at Twickenham, England against Wales. I've got no doubt you'll be there doing some corporate hospitality and enjoying the food in the East Stand like I do. But someone that you know very well, Carl Sinclair had a very good game last time up against Ireland. I know Quins have lost him for next year. He's gone to Bristol. But how much are you watching him? You've been at Quins now 5 years, coaching him and seeing what he's doing on the international stage and feeling that you've had a big part of that, because it must be...
it's brilliant. He's a fantastic player, and it's nice to see him sort of slowly. You can see just maturing now. He's not getting caught up in any of the theatrics anymore. And it's nice to see him put in what he's consistently on a sort of world class tight head basis. He's scrummaging well. He does it whenever he can do things I could only have dreamt of. But the small part I've had in this scrum is and I'm pretty pleased to see how he's transferring to test match level. And he's a great kid, and I'll miss him a lot, because I've spent a lot of time with him the last 5 years in London, and he was one of the main reasons I wanted to come up here to help mentor him, help mentor like Collier, Marla, these type of guys. And so it'll be he's I always give him a text for the game. I always wish him well, and I'll do the same this weekend.
Well, with it being St David's Day last Sunday, just gone yesterday actually, the big game this weekend against England, Wales have got a few injury issues. How do you see the game panning out?
Well, you lot are going quite well, and it's that's a big win against Ireland. I think we've I wouldn't say we've struggled, but we haven't quite put it all together yet. And that France game, a few decisions during there, that the big fella slapping the ball down in the tackle and nothing happened from that was a bit of a strange one for me. As exactly the same thing happened to our fullback against Bath, and he got yellow carded. So there was looking back at that, it was a bit of a strange one. But look, it's it's not the same fear anymore going to Twickenham like it used to be in like the 90s and the early 2000s. It's not England a good side, but Wales, we play each other so often. Most of our boys are Test match lions, and we played with a lot of these guys, so it doesn't hold the same fear. They'll know England are a great side. I don't know if there was a good side if the Vinopola boys aren't involved. I think they're massive for England, but in every way, and it's not if they don't play, then it's it's going to be a little bit harder for England. But look, going to Twickenham's tough. I'm lucky enough to win there quite a few times with Wales, and it's always hard. It's always what sort of game you're gonna have to, how you're gonna have to play to beat them. And I've no doubt Pivac and Halloween will get them revved up ready for it. And it's just how they cope with the atmosphere of the day, I think, and how they cope with England's power.
Yeah, mate, it would be quality as well. So with Pivac at the helm now, and you're with your coach's hat, just covering the bowl spot at the back, it's when you see the pressure that he's under. It was never going to be easy, was it? Like, how do you follow someone like Warren Gatland? Then you go into the Guinness Six Nations with a few kind of key injuries. Then you go into arguably Wales' biggest game against England, which it always is on the calendar, without Dan Biggar as well. How do you think Wayne Pivac's coaching with that? Do you think he's feeling the pressure naturally, or do you think there's an understanding amongst him and the other coaches that actually they are in a transition phase?
Yeah, I think you don't get that from the Welsh public. The Welsh public will expect the same sort of success we had with Gats, but Wales didn't win the Grand Slam every year with Gats. They didn't. There's a lot of fourth, third places. we were lucky. We were always lucky. We had Scotland and Italy to finish above, so it was. But we've, they don't always win it. So the Welsh public will, they get they get hard on the coaches. But I think the coach Stephen Jones and John Humphreys coming in is, it's massive. It's two outstanding coaches. If you ever speak to anyone who's been coached by them, and obviously having Byron Hayward, done a great job on the Scarlets, but it's Sean's boots, massive to fill that gap. So it's but no, look, it's going to take time, and I'm sure they'll get there soon enough.
And then just going on to you, mate, people like to know the ins and outs of the people that we chat to on the show. Your nickname's Bomb, isn't it?
Yeah.
For everyone. Is there a decent story behind that?
No.
It's one of them where I would have called myself Ice as a nickname. So have you named yourself or not? Is that what's happened there?
I was in college, and at the time there was a wrestler called Adam Bomb, and that's literally stuck.
Oh, what was it? Did he have good hair and good body weight as well, or?
Well, yeah, I definitely had good body weight in college, but I didn't have much hair. But it was, it's not the best one, is it? But no, actually, it's a good nickname, but the story's shit.
Any of the good nicknames around Wales or the Quins camp at the minute?
Well, I found with England, you always just chuck like a Y on the end of the surname.
Yeah, of course you do. Marley.
Goody.
Yeah. Goody.
It's or you drop something like Sink, or there's nothing too imaginative. Obviously in Wales you got Alfie, you got Bomb, you got Shane Williams was River. It's different. It's I think we got a different level of appreciation of good nicknames than you boys. It's all just chuck a Y on the end or Dorse or something like that.
So what you're saying is we're simple and you're quite intelligent when it comes to banter and names. Is that?
Yeah. Sounds about right, yeah.
Oh, dear.
Well, I don't get it as well, because the guy I'm going to talk about now who's coming to our live show, you just had a Y, which is what the English do. So Powell Lee, Andy Powell. Andy Powell's coming to the
fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, he's coming to the live show, and everyone knows. Yeah, Matt, everyone knows about the golf buggy incident. If you want, we shouldn't celebrate that. We can laugh now, but we shouldn't necessarily celebrate it. But have you got any good memories around Andy Powell that we can potentially share to the millions of listeners who want to add themselves to the live show? I think we're sold out, but you know what I mean.
No, I'm assuming you've seen the video going around on social media of him, have you?
Oh, yes, yes, we have, mate. Mate, who's taking his seatbelt off? They're denying it, but you can hear the seatbelt beeping.
He's hilarious at the 11th.
He is.
Even to be fair, even that night he was driving the golf buggy like down the hill in the Vale into the front of the Vale Hotel, and it just I don't know what he's trying to do, but he was it was obviously something was going to happen that night, and something obviously did.
All right, Bomb, thank you very much for coming on the show. Best of luck with the rest of the season with Harlequins and that bald spot on the back of your head, mate.